When when it's time to begin, it's on the Rewind-A with John Pollock and Wai Ting. The A-Team that makes sense of these things we see in the ring every week on TV. It's Rewind-A for Monday night. Download it Tuesday morning from the Post Wrestling site. It's Rewind-A for Monday night on USA Now on the John and Wai Take the mic.
Here we are. It is John Pollock and Wai Ting, where we are going to be covering Raw, the farewell to AJ Styles edition, and The Undertaker, who now has a solidified role in his post-wrestling career. Podcaster, Hall of Fame news deliverer.
Yeah, he's kind of become a messenger in the afterlife.
Do you imagine in 1991 saying this guy's role in 35 years? He's going to do something called a podcast with his wife, and then he is also going to show up in his his 2026 look, which is it's a unique one. Look at this.
Well, it's just like his 2001 look, isn't it?
You know, when I heard American Badass, you think these two, what halftime show were these two watching on Super Bowl Sunday?
Why bring that into things, okay, John? Come on, wrestling is not about politics. How dare you?
There was when Kid Rock went into the WWE Hall of Fame, he made some joke, and
he's in the WWE Hall of Fame, Kid Rock.
Kid Rock is in the Hall of Fame.
Of course.
Yeah, he told some joke, and I can't remember what it was. I don't know if it was about cancel culture, something like that. They cut to AJ Styles. Guy heard the greatest joke of his life. He's just barreling over laughing at Kid Rock. But yes, we will be talking more about AJ Styles. We just went through all of the news talking about, and we'll get into it during the show recap as well, the injury to Bronson Reed that happened on Raw Monday night. Mexico, which is undergoing a huge just splurge of violence coming off the killing of El Mencho. Were you familiar with El Mencho before this weekend?
Can't say I was. No.
Well, it has caused havoc in Mexico, and wrestling shows have been canceled. CMLL not going to Guadalajara on Tuesday night. We also talked about ICE detaining a independent wrestler in Florida, as well, talking about Ronda Rousey's latest comments regarding the UFC and cost-effective fighting championships.
I'm sure she could come up with an acronym for the letters UFC that mean the same thing.
You financed, I don't know. We'll
underfinanced.
Underfinanced, yeah.
Championship, yeah.
Underfinanced corporation, yeah. Something like that.
They're actually not underfinanced at all.
Yeah, well, she's going with UFC Corp now, which does have like a certain giant big box type of label to it. Somehow we're getting Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao again. I don't know how many people were asking for this fight. We're going to find out how many are willing to accept it come September.
I might skip this one and come back in for number 3 in 10 years' time.
Well, I'm going to get you to watch Rousey and Carano and do the post show with us. I think that's the goal.
Okay, I'm actually down for.
Yeah. Nikisa Bidarian, he's teasing like a big co-feature fight that they're working on that is not finalized yet. So. That will probably be coming down the pike soon. Plus all the ratings notes. Dynamite had a very good week. Impact as well. And all the lineups for this week. That can always be heard on the XL portion for Post Wrestling Café members for Rewind-A Raw. To Atlanta we go. The State Farm Arena, 11,722 tickets distributed. They ran this venue last July for Saturday night's main event. And
Goldberg
and Evolution as well, right?
That same week, that weekend. Mm-hmm.
Yes, same place. So, so this was the building where Goldberg was defeated by Gunther, and I could only imagine Bill Goldberg tuning in to this show and seeing AJ get a lot more than 2 minutes.
Well,
that's the lesson. You retire on Netflix, not on NBC.
Yeah, that is a bit of a difference.
There's no way Goldberg was watching this.
You're also talking about a guy in AJ Styles who I get the sense is far more beloved, internally within the company than a Bill Goldberg.
Well, Michael Cole and Corey Graves are in the ring to start the show, and they're promoting the AJ Styles tribute tonight when they are cut off by Gunther, who calls this disgraceful to celebrate a loser. And he brings up how he retired Goldberg, Cena, and AJ. I killed their careers. I'm the one who should be celebrated. So Adam Pearce is not going to have it. He brings out security. Gunther is willing to leave on his own, and he is laughing on his way to the back as Dragon Lee comes out and attacks Gunther, and this continues backstage. Dragon Lee continues to go after him, and then Cody appears out of nowhere and just takes a look at Gunther and then proceeds to walk out to the ring. What was cool about this is that from going backstage to Cody appearing and then walking to the arena, it was all one continuous shot until until they cut during his walk down the aisle. So from a production sense, I thought this was pretty impressive what they did here and tying in all these segments.
I get the sense they do a lot of these backstage segments live, as if, I mean, they were taking place out of the ring, even, you know, if they take place backstage. I mean, what you would think traditionally was a pre-tape. I mean, these days, I think they just go to directly live. And, you know, like, there really is no difference between this taking place in the back and in the front other than just the background, right? But it makes for a really cool effect to have one seamless shot. So, did you read anything into the Cody Gunther interaction beyond just, like, the usual crossover for segments?
I think that they like to do these things at times where it's something that could pay off down the road, but is not going to be anything immediate. I don't see these guys having any interaction in the near future. It really does not make any sense.
It certainly doesn't make sense with what's currently lined out. And like, we're as far as, like, you know, Elimination Chamber, where we know what the field is, and Gunther is really nowhere near that title picture, right? At the same time, looking at the field of options for that, like, Drew McIntyre championship, if we're talking about, like, ideas like Drew versus Cody again, or like even Drew with, like, Jacob, possibly Randy thrown in there, I kind of feel like Gunther versus Cody is a bigger match than all of those. Like, just Gunther, given the year he's had, the accolades he's had, heading into WrestleMania, challenging for the championship, feels to me like it would have been a very natural progression. So I wonder if they ever considered this.
Well, it's I think it is something that they will eventually get to with these people. It's much like Charlotte and Jade, that they teased almost like right from when Jade first appeared. And it's never gone anywhere. It's just been, but they did it just on SmackDown again. And I think it's something like, we can eventually get to it. And it's this stuff.
They need a big main event now.
Well, by next Monday, we're going to know what the main title matches are, in theory. Yeah. And so Cody walks out. He says he's here to talk about AJ, and he's interrupted by the Vision. So there was nobody giving anyone a chance to talk here. Vision comes out, and Austin Theory he's ashamed to be from Atlanta. And Logan predicts Bronson Reed is going to win the qualifier. He's going to win the chamber match. And then he's going to win the title at WrestleMania so they can take over SmackDown as well. And the first thing they're going to do is kick Cody out. I don't know if they meant out of the company. That would seem to be a little foolish, unless Cody was looking for a Ronda deal. Logan was 0 for 4 on all of these predictions.
Yeah, Oracle, he is not.
No. That was it's a good thing Heyman didn't say that's not a prediction. It's a spoiler. So Cody was clearly here for the AJ segment and had no other role on this show other than let's put his face on TV, because he had nothing to say here at all. He basically didn't say anything other than I'm here for the AJ segment, and he was interrupted, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I imagine it was just a drive for him.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we go into the three-way with Jey Uso, Original El Grande Americano, and Bronson Reed. Gable would hit a Orihara to the floor, and then Reed gets posted. This was the first time that Bronson was taken out of the match, because during the commercial break, he just sold this like posting and just lay on the floor the whole time. And then the commercial ends and he comes right back into it. It's like you get to see a lot of the layout of these matches on Netflix.
It's just Netflix.
I know. It's like none of them care about being on Netflix. None. So Reed lifts up both men for Samoan drops. Look very impressive. Hit a world's strongest slam on Jay. And this is when Gable goes for a swan dive headbutt off the top, and Jay is like all the way at the rope, and he didn't come close to hitting this one.
I don't know what Jay was doing.
I don't know. This was like Brock getting up there at WrestleMania, only if Angle had been like at the turnbuckle opposite that corner. He was just way too far off, but he was still going to leap for it. Didn't come close, but still they sell it like he hit it because he just goes for the pinfall, and Reed dives in to tackle Gable to break the cover, and this looks to be the spot where he tears his biceps. Still has to go through with this bridging German spot as Gable lifts up Reed. Looked very impressive here, but Reed has one arm and then just rolls to the floor, and he's done. That's it for Bronson Reed in this match. They do acknowledge it on camera, and they gave us this shot of him being tended to, but that was it. And then we never saw him again in this match because the last 5-6 minutes is just Jey Uso and Gable having to operate on the fly and reconstruct the rest of this match because they were clearly just looking like, is this guy okay? And no, you guys got to end this.
Yeah. So we spoke at like about this in the XL edition, just about the injury itself. But like there's a lot to say about it because we've been through a lot of these scenes lately. It feels like, whether it's like, real or unreal, John, right? And so we kind of have like a really great sense, especially like just due from recent sampling of how they shoot it, how they produce it. And at this point, like knowing they've done the work thing, okay, they've certainly done the real thing many times. What sort of changes in philosophy do they have in how they cover it? Well, I get the sense now they just like, if somebody's actually injured, they will just tell you that they're actually injured, and oftentimes they might even end the match, right? This is not one of those cases because you needed somebody to come out of to enter the chamber match. So all these things are I'm sure like chaotic in the background as they're scrambling to figure all this out. And again, I find these moments incredibly captivating just because you've seen on that on the Netflix series like how much is going on, how much like people have to consider in a split second, deciding who has to win, what finish they do. And
so let me ask you this way.
Yeah.
Is in Gorilla now, like how many people that are like besides Paul Levesque and maybe the match producer, how many people are watching this now? And every single person, like what's the biggest paranoia in wrestling? It's getting worked. And how many people are watching this and they can't fully believe, even if they're in Gorilla and Paul Levesque is telling you, no, this is legit. How could you possibly trust that? Like you're already paranoid in this environment. And here's someone that is hurt. And that's why to me, it's like, whether or not you enjoyed the Rollins angle it's immaterial if the byproduct of that is that you now have like a staff that just, they can't decipher like what is an angle and am I just being played for a mark here in the backstage area? Is that,
well, if you ask them, they'll tell you it was worth it, worth breaking that trust in order to like, I don't know, create content and create a moment at SummerSlam. But totally, like just even Rollins getting injured off of that like diving.
Sure. I'm sure everyone in the back was thinking the same thing, even though like it would make no sense to redo the same angle. But now you've put that in people's heads, and it's just, you're not going to believe anything.
Yeah. Although, like in this situation, I'm sure you have to just consider, like, well, what value is there to gain from all of this? With Rollins, with the Money in the Bank briefcase, maybe you can kind of piece it together. But like with Reed getting injured, it's not like his return pop is going to be that big of a surprise or that important, right?
It's more so just you've created this environment, and I just think people they don't want to get worked because they feel like that is this paranoia. And you can talk yourself into anything like, oh, this is how you'd protect Bronson to not be awesome. He's not winning the match, but he was going to be winning the match, and that was the key here. But regardless, we're getting off into a different topic, but this Vision faction is completely stink bitten. And so what do you think they do going forward with them? I mean, it's barely even a group at this point. It's like you're down to Logan Paul and Austin Theory.
I think Lesnar is probably the play. You know, like you can have Lesnar join Logan Paul, maybe even join Austin Theory with Paul Heyman at the helm, and it still adds a level of relevance and star power to it. We know Lesnar has a bunch of dates, coming out. At least it creates some semblance of a unit, right? Now it'll be interesting when Breaker comes back. Possibly we don't know how soon, but anyway, let's say he comes back. Then you would have an interesting Breaker Lesnar type of thing. And what do we do with Rollins when he comes back? I mean, all these questions, right? So
it is kind of bizarre that what's really happening to the Vision is sort of like what the storyline would have been for this masked attacker to take out the Vision one by one, that
Right.
Rollins would be revealed to be at the end, but is not going to get credit for any of these. Instead, it was a Braun Breaker's intense 5 a.m. weightlifting session and an errant save by Bronson Reed in a three-way match to break up a cover by El Grande Americano.
actually, Pierce got the credit for taking Braun Breaker out, if you remember Paul Heyman saying that.
Oh, he drove him to the 5 a.m. lift.
Yeah, he got him so mad he was working out just vigorously at 5 a.m. So maybe they can come up with some explanation for why Bronson Reed didn't have time to warm up because he was so incensed, so paranoid thinking about this masked attacker.
Maybe this is the official breakthrough moment for Shawn Michaels when he was in the Rockers. Did you hear this comparison?
What? No.
Paul Heyman has compared Austin Theory, where he is right now, to where Shawn Michaels was when he was in the Rockers.
All right. Maybe. Sure. Okay. And who's the Genetti in this equation?
Some would say Austin Theory. So that's Heyman's comparison, and we will see if Austin Theory becomes a breakout star. Where was Shawn at the age of 28? I believe that would put him like around 93. So
Okay.
that would mean his big ladder match with Scott Hall is coming in the next few months. So we will see. Maybe he will have a career transformative match in the coming months.
Maybe.
We'll
Did Heyman say something similar about Curtis Axel? When he was managing him.
I'm sure he spoke very highly of where Michael McGillicuddy was going to ascend to. So anyway, the match continues with Jey Uso and Chad Gable, and they do show a replay of the spot where Reed breaks up the cover and showing him being checked on. And then Gable gets an ankle lock. Jey rolls out of it. And after a Kapu kick by Gable, Jey lands the spear and Uso splash, winning in 15:32. So it is Jey Uso joining Randy Orton, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Javon Evans, and Trick Williams. And Trick Williams is the only heel in this match. And I don't think this guy's going to get any kind of heel reaction. So you may just have like 6 baby faces to that crowd in Chicago on Saturday. So it really does tell you like the role that Bronson Reed, he was going to be the big monster of everyone in this match. And I imagine would have been booked very strong in this match. And, it's not life or death having Jey Uso in there as the alternate, nor did I think anyone believe Bronson Reed was winning this, but it does kind of change the dynamic of the match.
Especially with LA Knight, who has a personal grudge against Reed, for taking him out. I mean, and possibly could have been his WrestleMania destination. So you you possibly have just, completely thrown out LA Knight's plans heading into WrestleMania. So we'll see how they play it. It's certainly not the worst thing in the world to arguably have 6 baby faces in this match. I mean, as long as the star power is high, there's enough grudge between all of them. Plus you have Randy Orton, like kind of teasing a lot of friction with Cody as well.
Throughout the night, we had various moments from AJ's career, beginning with the Royal Rumble appearance in 2016, and a bunch of guests that were on hand. Shinsuke Nakamura was chatting it up with Bobby Roode backstage. Maybe they were talking about Instagram, or
they're probably talking about their music. Like, wasn't one?
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That Nakamura's music was originally the one that Roode ended up getting.
Yeah, maybe that's probably all they were talking about.
Tyler Reddick pulled up in his NASCAR with CM Punk, the Daytona 500 winner. They tell me.
Why do you say that? What are you trying to get at?
Because I don't know who Tyler Reddick is. I don't know anything about NASCAR, so I can't tell you anything.
What if it was Charles Leclerc showing up
with CM Punk? That I would know. That'd be way more badass if they pulled up in his car as opposed to this.
I see. Yeah.
So Liv comes out with Dirty Dom. We recapped last week's sit-down with subtitles if you were too lazy to go to YouTube. And Dominic calls Stephanie Vaquer and Jade Cargill to come down so Liv can announce her choice. She tells Vaquer, I was caught off guard last week, and you pointing out all the privileges I've had in WWE. I didn't know much about your story. I'm sorry I judged you, but now I need to focus on my story. And so she turns around and she walks up to Jade Cargill, teases that she's going to pick Jade, but then turns around and blasts Stephanie in the face and attacks her. So Jade just exits, just leaves. She came all the way here to just be like, okay, this could have been a Zoom
she's
call.
got the Cody excuse being from Atlanta, so it at least wasn't a a flight or anything for her.
Well, it was just she was so like nothing here. She just took off, left mid angle.
She did kind of play it as like, you made the right choice, not picking me.
Well, we shouldn't ignore. She did get a Netflix exclusive interview later in the show. Hits Oblivion to Vaquer and holds up the belt. So we have our second match official for WrestleMania with Liv and Stephanie Vaquer, as most assumed this was going to be the match.
Yeah, not at all one that I think was ever in doubt. They really did nothing to make you think that Jade and Liv were going to be facing each other. Other than what, like having Jade eat like chicken nuggets with Dom on Valentine's Day, that was about the extent. We had way more, obviously, weighted towards one side of the equation. But it's also one of those where, like who cares? Like, at the end of this, are we left with a hot feud? Like, the point of this...
Does this take us to a $66 million two-night gate?
That I don't think so. But it is overachieving what I think on paper I would have expected for a Vaquer versus Liv Morgan feud, right? And I think they've done a good job so far. Let's see if they can take it to another level with whatever time they have left, which is actually quite a bit.
2 months, dude.
Oh, that's a lot of time. Yeah.
It's 2 months until WrestleMania, so it's a long time to go.
Yeah.
Saxton is with Javon Evans, and he meets rapper Offset, and I swear to God, Offset informs us he is here for AJ Styles. What do you think is AJ's favorite track from Offset?
I could totally see AJ listening to some Migos. 100%.
You think so?
I mean, I don't really know AJ's taste in music, but I mean, it's not the craziest thing to consider.
So New Day walk in. Woods is in a sling, and Woods says, here in Atlanta, I should be the one to get a tribute. And New Day have invited Offset to come to Raw for years, and it's only now he shows up for AJ. So somehow this all leads to a match with Javon Evans and Kofi Kingston for later. What was hilarious was that Xavier Woods goes from like running down AJ to these serious video messages where he is one of the people heaping praise upon AJ, and it's just more comical that these are back to back, and it was great.
The one is real, one is unreal.
That's it. It was very jarring here. We see Styles beating Jinder Mahal to end that legendary title reign in 2017, and then Michin is with Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa, who were un-MFT'd for the night, and the Good Brothers show up, and this was their one and done return here. This is all we saw of them on the show. They were here to hug, and Tonga Loa didn't seem as happy to see Carl and Doc.
I think you even had commentary explain, I guess Tonga Loa joined after AJ left, so maybe he felt like he didn't have a direct association. He was just a plus one.
I think these guys had quite a bunch of contests as the Gorillas of Destiny years. Memorable matches.
Did they face each other despite being in the Bullet Club?
My chronology is
or
all
they might
over
have
the place.
missed each other.
They might have missed each other.
Yeah. So they don't. There you go. They don't know each other. All right.
Well, you can still shake hands, I guess.
Oh, he's waiting his turn.
Guess not. Okay.
I just remember the Good Brothers and Beach and actually being in the stable together.
Yeah, remember when she explained how her
club.
Her nickname was Michin.
Yes, yes, of course.
To get away from Mia Yim. So Maxine Dupree against Natty. I feel like we've been waiting weeks for this match, and what a payoff we got. Maxine attacks her on the floors, running her into the barricade, and Natty kicks her toward the post, and Maxine is dead. Like, she sells like she is just, like, her heart has stopped.
She's so like Bronson Reed.
Yeah, like, I don't know. it didn't look like a great spot to do such a destructive finish to this, and she just is lifeless on the floor from a post shot that I swear to God we see in every single match. And a minute 38, it's a referee stoppage win by Natty.
Well, I'll certainly say, like, coming off the Bronson Reed thing, where you saw a real version of something like this, it completely took the bite out of whatever this was supposed to be. I know they're still trying to give Natty this edge as like somebody who actually does some serious damage. This is what this was trying to do, but I mean, this felt very fake in comparison to what you were just presented with Bronson Reed. On top of that, they didn't. So I believe their entrances took place during commercial break. So they already started this match with these two in the ring, which already signifies to the people watching at home that this is not at all important.
No. That's too bad, because they did something different for Natty's entrance where it starts on her, like not in gorilla, but like just before she's gonna walk out. They tried to make it more of like a real walkout. Yeah, and it just starts on her as she's walking out.
Okay.
Which I'd never seen with her before.
I could be mistaken. Maybe I just took my attention off, but people will correct me, I'm sure, if that's the case. But this does not feel like an important program whatsoever, despite the amount of time that they dedicated to it. And I'm not quite sure what more they could do to, get people interested for the inevitable rematch.
Bloodsport. Judgment Day is in the back. JD apologizes to Balor for last week. He just wants to see his buddy win the title. And Balor says, we're brothers. Sometimes brothers fight. Balor says, I've got to do this alone in Chicago. Dominic comes in and says, I don't want to do this alone. I've got to face Penta next week, and I need help. I thought this was very funny. And Balor says, when you guys were hurt, I had to handle myself. So, Dom, maybe you need to grow up.
Yeah, continuing to tease that tension. And what do you think, John? Do you think we're getting that turn at Chamber?
At Chamber?
Or shortly after Chamber. If not at, then.
I see Balor, I think him and Punk have to have this incredible match on Saturday, and Balor comes up short, loses clean, but he goes down valiantly. And then Dominic can defend his title and then say that I'm still a champion and you're a failure.
Yeah.
And that's how you can push this.
I think the key also is JD turning on Finn.
Yeah.
To really drive sympathy. I mean, he was all, friendly here, but I mean, has more than enough motivation to turn on Balor coming off of last week's. So I think the turn is coming. I think Balor's leaving Judgment Day, and possibly Balor versus Dom at Mania.
Which Mania, though? They could do a slow burn for this one.
You're saying that next year
could be Mania and Saudi.
Saudi?
Yeah.
Possibly.
Then Michael Cole says, huge news in boxing. I was like, they're promoting the Mayweather thing? And no, it is Conor Benn signing with Zuffa Boxing, which, fair, was a big story when this broke, because this was kind of out of nowhere last week that they signed him. This is an 8-figure deal they are signing Conor Benn for one fight. And if you don't think there are UFC fighters that are furious over this, Sean O'Malley being one of them, who has not even heard of this boxer and is like, this guy is making more than anyone is going to make this year in the UFC. I would even guess if Conor McGregor came back, he would be maybe one that could. Conor McGregor's most that he made in his career was $20 million for a fight. So you're talking about this guy is going to make in one fight more than 99% of fighters have made in the UFC for one specific fight.
Doesn't sound like a very cost-effective decision.
Well, it's crazy when you get into a business that has competitors, and you have to, if you want to be competitive, you're going to have to pay market value for. It would be amazing if you could just get rid of all of those barriers and just make
you also have Saudi backing that I'm sure is more than making up for whatever they're paying this man.
It helps, but big promotion for this on WWE. Oh, but Femi video airs, and then we see Adam Pearce with this crate that I cannot tell you how sick of this crate. I am ready for this goddamn crate to open, because these segments are so dull. We know this thing's going to be opened on Saturday, and that's basically what was said. Send this back to Chicago. We'll open it together on Saturday. I really hope that the story is that a human being has been in here for all these weeks being shipped across the country.
I just get the sense it'll be a letdown, no matter what it is, no matter what it's for.
Yeah, maybe it's like a new replica title.
Oh, I could only hope. Like a giant title.
Yes.
Like that size.
Rusev shows up. He was behind the crate, and he's confronted by Obafemi, and they want to fight. Pierce is like, not tonight. Tonight we actually are booked, so we're going to have to do this another time. They didn't say next week. They didn't say on the pay-per-view. Just another time.
They got a big speech with AJ, so yeah. They didn't announce this for next week, did they?
No, they just said time and place. We'll do this another time.
Yeah, all right.
Brock Lesnar comes out with Paul Heyman. Heyman says that WrestleMania used to have 2 main events. Like, I think it still has 2 main events, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah. He should have said a single night of WrestleMania would have had 2 main events.
Well, he explains there was the title match and the Undertaker's streak. Lesnar ended the streak. Therefore, he inherited that main event spot. So that means how many main events would we have gotten the last 2 years when he was iced? This gets very confusing.
Yeah.
So he asks who is willing to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. And the crowd starts chanting Oba. And Heyman just keeps talking. He doesn't see anyone that is man enough to take an ass beating from Brock Lesnar. Doesn't see anyone in the locker room willing to do that. And so he goes over all of Brock's appearances from now until Mania, where he'll be showing up. And again, challenges anyone to walk down the aisle and answer this open challenge, and concludes no one has the balls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This was, we literally just saw Obafemi in the last segment.
Mm-hmm.
We've got LA Knight on this show who is like going after all of the Vision for revenge.
Yeah.
You're telling me not one person in this locker room wanted a WrestleMania spot with Brock Lesnar and are suddenly going to have the courage on one of these upcoming dates over the next 2 months.
Yeah. I don't
God,
know.
this made your locker room just look like a bunch of just total, like,
I guess I wasn't so sure if Heyman was inviting the open sort of challenge for now or at any one of these dates that are coming up. You know, that's kind of the sense I got. But this crowd certainly interpreted it as who's coming out right now, right?
He said walk down this aisle. Like they, and why wouldn't they? We just saw a million interruptions in this opening segment. No one was ready. No one wants a Mania match here. With
Again,
Brock
I
Lesnar.
felt like it was like, here are the dates. These are your opportunities on one of these dates later on for you to come out. I don't mean right now, but I mean later on. But yes, I understand. Like,
Okay,
most
so
of the
we have a
audience may be not
month
feeling it.
until San Antonio for everybody to get their entrance music queued up and race down to the front of the line.
So clearly this crowd wants to see the Obafemi match.
Yes, that is very clear.
Do you think that's the direction that they're going to take it?
I don't know if it was the original idea, but at this point, yes, I would be going that direction for WrestleMania. Like that feels like a big match. And your question would be, what is your plan for Brock Lesnar this year? Like if you have this idea of something bigger for Lesnar, then now is not the time for him to be facing Obafemi if Lesnar needs to win this match. That's the thing. It's like, I think everyone would agree. If you book this match, it should be for Obafemi. But then what do you do with Lesnar after that? He can lose. It's not the end of the world. It's just they are very, very judicious with Brock losses. And I understand that thinking. But that's what it's going to come down to. Is like, what is your plan for Lesnar for this year?
Yeah. So all of this said, did the Cena win do anything for Brock Lesnar?
It gave him a win.
And I mean, I guess better to have Brock, the guy sticking around, get the win than Cena get the win in that match, I suppose. But it's not even something you would think about with Brock Lesnar. You know, like it's not necessarily such a big accomplishment that you would attach to him the way you would like Gunther, for instance.
Yeah. I wasn't a big fan of this segment, but now the locker room has weeks and weeks to prepare for San Antonio. We will see. And if no one shows up, then you have Boston and then the Garden. Maybe that will go right until the go-home show in April when he's scheduled for Sacramento.
Yeah, possible. Yeah.
There's a video from Becky Lynch with a message for AJ Lee. You held one butterfly title. I was on the title of the video game, and my game did better than your husband's. Damn. Going to some quarterly earnings breakdowns. AJ doesn't deserve to hold this belt. I'm going to retire you in Chicago, and you're going to be the least talented AJ to retire this year.
I like that line.
Man.
Yeah.
Is AJ from the Backstreet Boys going to retire after this this residency at the Sphere this year?
Oh man, with what they made at the Sphere, I highly doubt it.
Yeah,
I think
they
he's
should
here
just
for a
keep
while.
going forever. You don't retire in music.
No. I like the content of the Becky promo. I mean, the big problem.
I thought this was the best promo of involving either of these two during this lead up to Elimination Chamber. I've not been a fan of their interactions. I thought this video was. I like this promo.
For me, the big problem continues to just be, I think, what we're expecting out of the feud at this point, and the tone of the character being so comical, which still is there, unfortunately, here. And it's not like you can completely change the character, but I do think there's a serious version of this character within her that I would love to see her, try to navigate.
Javon Evans and Kofi Kingston with Offset in the corner of Javon Evans to offset the New Day. Kingston runs up the aisle as Evans teases a dive, just runs away. Evans gets distracted and hit with a PK off the apron. And then Evans leaps in the air for like the highest moonsault you have ever seen in your life. He got so high on this thing, and Kingston gets out of the way. So Evans comes down and rolls and is limping on his ankle, gets hit with the SOS, kicks out, goes for the red dot, and then dives over the top, landing on Kofi. And then Waller just walks up, punches the guy in the face. He's hit with a leg drop, kicks out, and then Offset throws Grayson Waller over the desk, and a distraction by Offset leads to the OG cutter on Kofi as Evans wins in 10 minutes and 14 seconds. And Michael Cole, who is going to put a jinx on this guy, says, could you imagine him hitting the OG cutter off of the pod? And Graves is man. Shut up, Cole. You've now put that into everyone's expectation. And he's probably going to try this on Saturday.
Oh, man.
He's got to do something crazy in this match to stand out.
Yeah. If not him, then Orton. I mean, both of them. Maybe they'll do it to each other, attempt to, out of nowhere cutters to each other. Entertaining match. I think Evans continues to look memorable, and I would say quite spectacular in all of these appearances. He got the celebrity treatment here with Offset, and so it was a good little spot for him. And Kofi did a good job making him look good, but one certainly can't help but feel like this was a crowd that would rather seen Kofi in a more prominent position. I have to imagine much of this crowd still looks at Kofi Kingston as a hero and not just a guy to set up a newcomer's showcase. In another timeline, this match would have been, I think, a heavily promoted dream match between two generations of incredibly talented Black performers during Black History Month. This could have been a much bigger deal than what it currently was, which was just a quickly put together match where Kofi Kingston doesn't really feel like he was a very important part of the show overall.
What happens if you don't see color, though? Can you promote that?
Yeah, maybe not.
We got some more messages from Bailey, Ray, Natty, everybody. Chris Park. Thank you, Alan. And then we see the king, Frankie Kazarian, show up. He opens up a room that reads Boiler Room, and there is Abyss with his mask on. No Sinister Minister with him, but and that was it. That was all we would see of these two guys.
Yeah, nice to at least get this, Like the I don't know, you could say the WWE debut of Abyss, right?
Has he not done anything with Abyss? I guess
so.
You're probably right.
He did he's a downloadable character in a video game, but I don't think he ever appeared on camera as Abyss, So I thought this was really cool. They really have just acknowledged just TNA,
Dude, we got Mike Tenay's voice on this show. This was a very, very TNA focused tribute. Mm-hmm. Then we saw some clips of Cena and Styles from SummerSlam 2016. Finn Balor video. He says, I need to prove to the doubters and the critics and even the Judgment Day that I can be champion. I learned from my defeat to Punk. I'm going to stop asking what if. What if I could have been champion with, again, going back to when he had to vacate the title in 2016. Instead of asking what if, I tell myself when I become champion, when I will headline WrestleMania and I show that I'm the real best in the world. Yeah. This guy should certainly be bonused because he is in the most unenviable task in the lead up to WrestleMania. And this guy is trying his damnedest to give you a sliver of doubt to this match. And I give him a lot of credit for this. And I think that they should have a pretty solid match. It's Chicago for Punk. Hopefully you would have a rabid crowd. I'm looking forward to the match, but it's really tough to build up this match where, as hard as it is most years to be the setup guy, they're also promoting this as if this guy wins, he's going to ruin the greatest main event ever. It's just like he is positioned as like just the ultimate spoiler. And they're not even really playing up the fact that, you know, I beat Roman Reigns my first night in WWE and there's that history. I could have that rematch. It's like, no, this guy would just be such a downgrade to CM Punk that Mark Shapiro would probably have a heart attack if this guy won.
Oh, even if they brought anything up, there's no possible reason for people to believe that he could actually, you know, go on to WrestleMania, sadly. But at this point, I personally don't even see like the appeal of this match being whether or not he wins. He has set up, you know, through this promo, which I thought it was actually one of Finn's stronger promos, like in quite some time. He set up more of a personal journey for himself to prove that he can do things on his own and that he can live up to the potential that, you know, like people once saw within him, right? So there's that, plus also the Judgment Day defection, which I feel, you know, could be its own worthwhile thing beyond just, you know, like whether or not he wins the championship. And you're also talking about a PLE that is mainly sold on 2-chamber matches where you can afford to like have a bit of a sort of lame duck match like this on the show.
What happens if Paul shows up on Saturday in Chicago and says, hey, we need a moment. What's going to be our moment?
A turn.
Yeah, or you could turn someone and not have any plan afterwards. You could also do that.
Oh,
the Elimination Chamber specialty.
Sure.
Punk comes out. My God, were there a ton of celebrities here. We had Dwight Howard, Jermaine Dupri, Bow Wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Punk is
Big
here.
Bow Wow.
Big Bow Wow. Punk says he's here to celebrate AJ, so he's not going to take up too much time. I'm a fighting champion, just like Brett, Terry Funk, Harley Race, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker, and me. And he asks, what if Roman Reigns were here tonight? And he says, well, he's not here. And they boo. He's like, well, don't boo me. I'm here. This crowd was not that responsive to CM Punk here. He was kind of just going and going here. He says Reigns will be here next week in Indianapolis, which further upset this crowd. And he asks, what if I don't want to wait next week and I punch him in the face next week? I don't have to ask myself, what if? Because I am the champion. I am the main event of WrestleMania. And that was it. He really didn't have a whole lot to talk about here. He spoke more about Roman than he did Finn Balor. And that was the segment.
I think for a guy who has like 2 programs concurrently, unfortunately, this didn't really feel like it was a promo that I think, you know, was productive for either one of them. This was, first of all, I thought he did a nice job in playing off of Balor's what if promo. And it makes you wonder, like, you know, how he prepared for this. You know, did he get to watch Finn's promo? I'm sure he did, but when? And was it earlier in the day, or did he come up with all of this, like, you know, very in a brief amount of time? It's hard to believe, but anyway, impressive from Punk, like on that note. But ultimately, this was a promo that felt very house show like, meaning it was kind of nice if you were there live for it, I'm sure, but totally skippable and not necessarily relevant at all to either story he's trying to build right now.
Do you think that they could have gotten a 2-for-1 deal from Creed and licensed the song "What If" for a video package for Punk and AJ?
I think at this point they should.
How much Scott Stapp could you take on this show?
They should. I think every WWE song should be a Creed song. Yeah, it's the only type of rock from the 2000s I would accept.
Hey guys, I found this new group. Okay, they really rock. It's a song called "Higher." Cool, Paul.
Yeah, I love that video. Are you kidding me?
Petey Williams is hanging out with Jeremy Borash and Omos. This is the look at Borash here. This man is
he brought Omos from Mexico.
Yeah, look at this. Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Raquel Rodriguez, our final qualifier. So Raquel hits a double fall-away slam. Then she catches Kairi on the floor, and Io slips, going for an Asai moonsault, but still lands it perfectly, regaining her footing. Goes for the bullet train attack. That is stopped, and Sky ends up saving Sane from a Tejana bomb, and they run Raquel into the post, which, as we learned from Maxine, could be fatal. Sane hits the insane elbow to the floor on Raquel, and then it's Sky kicking out from a backslide from Kairi, double underhook backbreaker, and goes for the over the moonsault when Raquel comes back from the dead. Over the moonsault gets stopped, and then it's Sky with this flying tornado DDT. Sane then knocks Sky off the top rope, sending her to the floor, and she goes for the insane elbow. Michael Cole yells, Raquel got her boots up, and I watched this multiple times. It was a quick cut. It did not look like this was smooth of getting her boots up, as they stated here. I don't know what happened, but after getting her phantom boots up, the Tejana bomb was hit, and she pins Kairi in 10:54. Raquel Rodriguez joins Alexa Bliss, Rhea Ripley, Asuka, Kiana James, and Tiffany Stratton.
I think this was presented as a bit of an upset, seeing like Io is certainly a higher ranking, competitor than Raquel was. But they also did kind of telegraph it with Io already really getting ahead of herself and talking about facing Rhea in the chamber. So, this was somewhat expected. But I thought Raquel joining, was a good way to continue to push her and to continue to make her feel like an elevated member of this roster. And as the big woman in the match, she'll probably play a pretty pivotal role for everybody else.
She's going to be the Bronson Reed in this match.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The only Bronson Reed on the show.
And the way they are setting this up, now that Ripley is in the chamber, but Io is not, and they've got the title defense on Friday with Nia Jax and Lash Legend, I think there's a decent chance they'll do the title switch on Friday and get the belts off of them. And we'll see. Like, I don't know what Io's Mania program is going to end up being, because we can talk about this later this week, but I look at Ripley as the strong favorite to win this match.
Oh, they've already done so much teasing between Rhea and Jade. Certainly more so than Jade with any of the other people in this match.
Well, number 2 is Kiana James, clearly.
Yeah, of course. Jade versus James, yeah.
And then Michael Cole gives the update that Bronson Reed has a biceps tear and he is out indefinitely. Next week in Indianapolis, it is Dominic against Penta for the IC title. Gunther will steamroll Dragon Lee, and Roman Reigns will not be in Atlanta. Instead, he will be here next week. Kathy Kelly interviews Jade Cargill, a great moment of a streaming commercial break, as she says, I thought Liv made a smart choice, and Kathy seemed all frazzled here in her follow-up question. It's like, in the chamber, there's a match coming up. Your thoughts on this match? And Jade just starts to cut a promo, and they just fade mid-sentence. They, whatever time they had, they missed it here. And Jade did not have a great representation on this show. Like an afterthought in the live segment, and then you're cut off during the commercial segment.
Yeah, unfortunately. Like in these segments, I really do feel for Kathy Kelly. I'm sure she was like, she was having time cues suddenly like screamed into her ear, and
you don't know how long the first answer is going to be. Probably.
How much time she might have even had to prep for this. It might have been one of those like, hey, Kathy,
we're going to get someone for you, and she probably doesn't even know who's coming her way.
So, and even for Jade, you have to feel for her too, because like I wonder how much queuing. Like it certainly looked like it was miscommunicated, and they did not hit their time, to say the least.
Then, folks, in 2020, I didn't know what was more stunning today: reading about Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao in 2026, or hearing Higher used as like a contemporary hit here on WWE programming.
Listen, I think there are some bands that are simply timeless in their association with professional wrestling, and Creed is one of those. Okay.
Well, they got some great usage here.
Every video package produced by the WWE should be set to a Creed song.
Imagine AJ doing like karaoke to Creed.
Yes.
So the first voice we hear on this video package is Mike Tenay. And we got plenty of TNA footage here. Comments from Austin, Angle, Undertaker. And so AJ enters the arena, and he comes out, and he's like, hey, do I start this off emotional, or do I go for the joke? He said, I was going to wear a suit, But the last time I did, I beat the piss out of Cody. No one remembered this angle, and AJ just, so I didn't. And then he moves on and gets
It was a pretty great angle, from my recollection.
It was.
At this point, yeah, it's not necessarily top of mind. But I mean, I think I remember it. Yeah.
He is still the kid that fell in love with pro wrestling growing up in Gainesville. I wrestled in the Asylum in Nashville, to the Tokyo Dome, and then WrestleMania. No love for the Ted Reeve Arena.
Yeah.
He name drops Daniels, Samoa Joe, and Kazarian in TNA, stating, "We made a mark in wrestling." And then I left due to uncertainty. Uncertainty. That would be the understatement of TNA's existence. And I went to Japan.
Who did you think would survive longer in professional wrestling? AJ Styles or TNA wrestling?
Oh, AJ by miles. Yeah.
Certainly many years where
I mean, at a certain point of following TNA, you realize this company will never cease operations. Like there will just always be a Billy Corgan or an Anthem or just anyone or someone will find TNA and adopt it. But then in maybe the best recap of his New Japan tenure, I mean, forget the Tanahashi match, Minoru Suzuki, the G1s, Nakamura. No, I went to Japan and I met Gallows and Anderson, who taught me how to have fun. If I'm having fun, then you are having fun. And that's what he learned in New Japan.
Well, I'm sure there are plenty.
That needs to be the new that's what New Japan needs to lean into. Fun.
Sure, there are many nights with sponsors that will probably be left not talked about.
Yes, I don't think the Bullet Club merchandise royalties were fun, but plenty of other things I'm sure they had a good time with. He says that I've almost done everything, and this crowd's like, oh, he's gonna wrestle again. He's like, the one thing I haven't done is be a full-time father. And he points to his family.
Ooh.
Oh, family.
No.
And his family's in the front row, minus one of his sons who's at home with the flu. And he mentions all the birthdays, the anniversaries he's missed, and how tough it's been. And then he singles out his wife, calling her the greatest wife in the world, who never slowed him down, kept our family together. And it was a very, very touching moment here.
Yeah.
And then he explains that it's not the way you all wanted to see me go out, nor the way I wanted to go out, but in some ways it was poetic, losing to Gunther, because I debuted at the Royal Rumble and I ended at the Royal Rumble. And he said this like no one would have put two and two together before. It was like he was
know?
He was like, I'm going to let you in on something. I debuted at this same show called the Royal Rumble. And dude, this is a fandom of Brian in New Jersey's. Okay, they are very aware of where the man debuted.
As far as poetry goes, this was more of a roses are red, violets are blue level poet. Yeah.
And he did not leave his gloves in the ring in Riyadh. I'm a man of my word. And he puts his jacket on the ground, still has the gloves on, but then explains, I wanted to bring my gloves home and leave them here. And he puts the gloves down on top of his jacket. And the man is ready to walk off into the sunset. The locker room empties. Everyone's chanting for AJ. It's a really great moment. And then the lights go out. And out comes Biker Taker to the sounds of Kid Rock. It's like, oh, man.
Kid Rock and Creed in the same segment? Man.
It's like, man, if you could get an electric drill to my eardrum, that is the preferred sound. Then
I'll tell you, I'll take this any day over the shit we just listened to on that Extreme Rules 2011 show.
Oh god, yeah, we didn't have Rev Theory to perform, and so out comes Undertaker in his glasses in tow, the bandana, the hat, the sleeveless tee, and he comes out and he does his slow walk into the ring. AJ's like, well, hell, you got a message or what? And he says, AJ, we have some unfinished business. Somewhere somebody was thinking, it was like, man, those 25% off tickets did not work. They're going to the extreme now.
Yeah.
He says, there's a saying, if you see me coming, you're already gone. And I've changed it up a bit. If you see me coming, it means you're going. And in the greatest moment on the show, AJ just under his breath goes, "Oh shit." And Taker announces he is going into the Hall of Fame. And AJ gets his airbrushed graphic. His family enters the ring. They all hug. And then AJ pulls away from his family to go yell to the crowd, "Hall of Fame!" I will miss this man so much. We get one more speech out of him.
One more. Yeah.
Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Listen, I thought this was a wonderful segment.
It was a very touching segment. It was, I really did enjoy it. It was like, it felt very, very genuine. It felt like they just let him go out and was like, you can say whatever you want.
I thought he gave a wonderful speech.
He did.
Like one that was incredibly heartfelt. First of all, the video package. I mean, and it's not like any of this is a surprise. We've heard, at least like throughout the past few months, how much this roster admires him. But like to start the video package off with having Steve Austin say he's the best wrestler on 2 feet or something, to the best wrestler standing, to that effect, something to that effect.
I hope they didn't just go into the library of DVDs and just take the soundbite out where he was talking
sure
about
they
like
did.
someone else.
I'm
saying like they just have this like Steve Austin praising generic wrestler for being the best of all time. No name.
Said it about Sean. Would have said it about Flair. Would have said it about Cena. I'm sure. Yeah. Now no, we got the AJ Styles edit. Maybe this was AI, John. Okay, they can do that now. They can just have AI everybody. But then in the same video, you had Taker talking about how he specifically chose this guy to be his retirement match. All of that, plus just like the endless loop of like every single name on this roster glowing about how much they respect this person. You see all of this and having the adulation, of course, of the fans. There's really like, there are few better ways to go out than this, right? In any sort of career. Imagine like any line of work, you know, having your peers respect you this well. So just all of that I thought was really well encapsulated. And, you know, he gave a tremendous speech that I think was one that taught us all a strong lesson. And that's when you have the microphone in maybe the most important speech of your career, make sure you celebrate your wife and you give her all the credit for your success.
I thought it was really touching that he,
oh my God,
you know, made
incredible.
such a big part of like, you know, just, you know, addressing his family, his wife, and felt like a guy is like, listen, I've done this for a long time. I'm ready to go home. I think it was somewhat, you know, I'm sure it wasn't lost on people just seeing like the comparison point of someone in The Undertaker, who we have literally seen has really struggled and seems to be at a place now where he has put his, but you've even heard Taker, like, this guy would not need an arm twisting to do another match.
Oh, I fully, like 10% of me felt like this was actually leading up to something.
Like the idea of Taker on that Saudi Mania next year is by no means a ridiculous prediction to make. And you've just seen how this guy has not been able to walk away from it. So I always applaud guys that are just, they're mentally at the end of it. They're happy with their career. And that's where this guy seems like this was, you know, it was not Tanahashi getting a chariot where he was proceeded to go all around the State Farm Arena in after the fact, but this was a really nice retirement ceremony after. And I'm sure, I'm curious if they filmed anything more after this for that.
Are you kidding me? They're probably still filming now. Okay, there's going to be enough content for like 10 years from this moment. But
I would like to hear like some of the people that they brought in of like, I'm sure they did stuff backstage, but even out in front of the crowd, like I would love to hear from Frankie Kazarian for a couple of minutes and some of those people that have known him the longest.
Well, first of all, 2 questions for this Hall of Fame. Is he the headliner? And secondly, who inducts him?
We don't know who the class is.
Oh, it's not going to be any bigger than Stephanie or AJ, right? It has to just be between these two.
Yeah, I would
Sort of
put
Cena,
AJ
which I
on
wouldn't
last,
expect.
but it's like whatever. Were you asking who inducts him?
Yeah.
I guess who are the realistic options? Because Christopher Daniels is the perfect one. That is not going to happen for obvious reasons. Same with like a Joe. I don't see them leaning on like a Frankie Kazarian for that reason. Like when you're talking about like, I don't see Taker doing it. Could Kurt do it?
So who are we talking about? Like who are the most important people to his career?
I think they look at like who's a name that we can advertise for this and has a has a connection to AJ Styles. I think that's the balance they typically look at for these inductors.
Yeah. So Slim Seaber in the chat is suggesting Nakamura or Cena.
I don't see
Cena. I don't see coming back for this,
and I don't see Nakamura doing a speech.
I don't think so either. So I mean, it could be really the Good Brothers. Actually, yeah, I could see the both of them together.
Did you see Punk doing it? Or a Cody?
I could, but
I'm just looking at from their perspective. It's just they want their biggest names on these Hall of Fame things, and we also don't even know yet where they're doing this Hall of Fame. Like, are they piggybacking this off of SmackDown? Are they booking a separate venue? Because that goes into the whole thinking here. Do we have to sell tickets for this? Mm-hmm. Or is this just tacked on to SmackDown where this is less like the arena is going to be full? It's not like we need to ramp this up we don't need more star power if the arena is already sold out from SmackDown.
Yeah. I have to imagine it'd be SmackDown, right? Because where else could they do this?
Last year they did it after SmackDown, but they did it at that hotel, the Fountain Blue, that they had the arrangement with to do all those events at. Like, that's where they did the Taker show and the Tony Hinchcliffe thing, I think. But they haven't announced anything like that. They haven't announced that. There's no announcement about a stand and deliver for the weekend.
Personally speaking, and I don't know what the people going to SmackDown are expecting, but I would replace SmackDown with the Hall of Fame. I think it's way more important and a bigger draw, personally.
Yeah, man. 3 hours of SmackDown and then a Hall of Fame afterwards.
Give me 3 hours of speeches. I'd much rather that.
No? I don't need 3 hours of speech. Maybe we could have a compromise. Like, okay. You know what I mean? Like, we could have some matches, break things up. Like, we don't need anything longer. And then the show, like SmackDown, they finished with the Kerwin Sylphies graphic at the end. So there you go. That was Raw. Pretty eventful Raw for good and bad reasons. The AJ thing was great. The unfortunate injury to Bronson Reed, that was on the lower end side. But looks like we do have the 4-match card for the Elimination Chamber. I don't imagine another match being added, but I guess if they wanted a fifth, they could add one on SmackDown. But I think this card is plentiful with 2 chamber matches and Punk and Balor that's going to be long, and then you have Becky and AJ Lee.
And think about all the commercials, so you got to have time for that. But yeah, chamber matches each, I can imagine going, close to an hour each. And think about all the entrances as well. AJ, Becky, and then Balor versus Punk. It feels like a full card to me by today's standards.
Who are your picks for the chambers?
I think we got Cody, and then we've got Rhea, and then Becky or AJ.
I see AJ
Becky.
winning.
I'm saying Becky. You already got the hometown win in Punk. I think Becky could win, and AJ maybe could rematch later.
You don't see them having just that moment of like Punk and AJ leaving as champions in Chicago? It's going to be the only time you'd have these two as champions together, most likely.
What about Mania?
I don't think Punk's keeping that title at Mania.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe you're right. Yeah,
you could have both of them going into Mania as champions. It's one way to do it. But you're right. You do have both of them on the card. You don't necessarily need AJ to win there. You could set something up for the rematch at Mania as well. I'm the same. I see, unless there is some wild idea that they come up with, I see Cody and Ripley are the picks.
The only wild option I could see is Randy Orton somehow, and then maybe somehow that working into a 3-way with Drew or something like that. But I truly
ultimately Cody getting into like the match. Yeah,
I don't see it myself.
All right, well, everyone, we're gonna say goodbye on the YouTube channel, but you have a packed week coming up. We are going to be back later on this week, Tuesday. We have got the wellness policy, and you have a guest this week.
We do, yeah. We have a guest on to talk about the topic of financial health. This is actually a topic that I personally suggested because it's one that I'm very interested in myself. So we'll be talking to somebody who is a bit of an expert who also happens to run his own professional wrestling indie federation. So he'll be able to speak our language, perhaps. And those of you who, no matter maybe what your financial health might be, no matter how knowledgeable you might be, hopefully you might be able to get something out of this conversation. We'll be talking about, like what to do if you maybe are in debt, maybe if you have a little bit of money but don't really know what to do with it. Not necessarily like giving advice you should be like, immediately going to the bank with, but at least having a discussion, for people who might who might have varying levels of knowledge about the topic. So tomorrow, 1 p.m. Eastern time at youtube.com/postwrestling, and then on the Post Wrestling Cafe feed, free.
Delivering on the returns, increasing our margins.
That is not our guest, but
I thought you landed him.
Hoped.
Well, on Wednesday, we will have a Rewind-A-Dynamite after the show from Denver. Thursday is Book Club Day here at Post Wrestling for the Double Double and Espresso members. And this month, it is Black History Month, and we are going to be reviewing a decided novelty. This is a history of Black professional wrestlers from 1950 and before, like going even into some of the 1800s. And Ian Douglas, he's written about I believe 10 books. He is actually going to be joining us for this month's discussion about this book. It's really well worth your time and digging into a lot of figures that sadly are not that well known, and they should be. So I'm looking forward to discussing this one with Neil, and Ian Douglas will be on with us on Thursday. And then all of our other regular shows coming at you this week. We're going to have a New Beginning USA review with Karen Peterson and Bruce Lord this weekend. And Wai and I will be up Saturday night after Elimination Chamber here on the Post Wrestling YouTube channel for everybody.
Busy week as always. Yep. So thank you guys for signing up to the Post Wrestling Cafe. If you haven't signed up yet, consider joining us and trying it for 7 days for free.
All right. Goodbye, YouTube.